So I'm going to show you how to make the basic Magic 3D block. Your kit comes with your pattern and 8 soft foam cubes. These are polyfoam, so they're kid safe. You sometimes get fabric with your pattern, sometimes not. Whatever fabric you get, you want 6 colors, and you want strips that are at least 2 3/4 wide by 22 inches. And then when you have all your fabric, you decide which 3 colors you want in the first section, and then the other 3 would be your other section. Cut your pieces the way that your pattern tells you to, and then wrap each piece with freezer paper. Iron it down so it sticks on the edge. This gives you stability when you do your machine sewing, and it gives you nice sharp corners. Your pieces finished are 2 square or rectangles, 2 by 2. After you've finished doing your freezer paper, you're going to lay it out the way the pattern tells you. Here's my first 3 colors, my second 3. The pattern tells you where to sew. And you're putting your pieces side by side, you're butting them together, you're not overlapping them, you're not using your seam allowance. So when you look at the back of this, you can see the zigzag. I use invisible top thread, but you can use whatever you want. Both sections are identical. Once you've laid them both out, you sew only where it tells you to sew. This is the trickiest part coming up. Again, it's still by machine, but what you're doing is sewing section 1 to section 2. You've got an arrow on your pattern, and it's telling you to move your 2 orange sections together. So I just fold my yellow up out of the way. What I'm sewing next is my outside orange edges, and I'm sewing that to the inside of this. When you look at this pattern, it's saying spread the green open. See how that causes an opening? And swing your blue pieces around. When you've done that, you create a straight line for your blue onto orange. So you start your zigzag at one end, stop, tuck that out of the way, continue, make sure your oranges are exactly lined up, continue, stop, tuck that away, and when you get to the end, you're exactly dead on. Now you're going to do that with both sides. So create your second line, and when you wrap it around, it's like a sleeve, because now you're sewing to this outer edge here. When that's been finished, it's a little bit awkward, but you should do it anyway. You're going to remove all your paper, and you have this really awkward looking thing. You may think you've made a mistake, but you haven't. What I normally do then is I pick a color. Let's say in this case I'm going to pick red. And I'm going to put pins for my foam every time there's a red color. You have a total of 8 blocks. You tuck one underneath one of the red sections, put pins in, just roughly pin it for now, just to hold it in place. Find your next red one, another block, and put it in and pin it. So you sort of get the idea here. When you find your next red one, see how that's all coming together. When all is done, you're going to have red completely pinned, and as you pin the corners, you're going to have all the oranges and all the yellows also done at the same time. When you flip it over, tuck your green, your purple down, you're going to have your blue. When you crack it open, you're going to tuck the purple down, and you're going to have your green. And then lastly, you need to flip it around for this color. But there's all your purple, and you'll have all the pins and everything that you need. I remove the pins. I replace with tape. It makes it easier for me to sew. Things don't get tangled. I'm a lot more flexible. Everywhere you see a tape is where there's a seam that needs to be closed by hand. The hand stitching is pretty easy. Again, I'm using a nylon thread. I'm a left to right person because I'm right-handed. I actually fold this a little bit out of your way so you can see it a little better. I actually hold it on a table as I'm working, so I can hold it down with one hand, hold my thread away with the other. And it's just a running stitch. Being very careful that my end is still going to be exactly matching when I get there. And if you hold your thread away with one hand and let it go only at the very end, or just release it when you're almost through, it avoids all those knots that happen so easily with invisible thread. So that's how you make the Magic 3D block, basic version. Pick some interesting colors, it can be so much fun.